I started to listen to jazz. But when I was about 17, 18, and got working in the bowling alley and that, I started going out with girls and you get into the rock and roll. But the jazz never left me. I gotta plug this one in. Okay, hang on a sec. This will only take a second. I can play that one. There's not one Hawkins record in there, so I must have him in a separate section. Do not sell these. At one time I played this to death. A CL711, it's a mono. I don't think there was a stereo. He was the first famous vibraphone player. 2 mallets. My son in Montreal plays a vibraphone with 4 mallets. He's a musician with a big orchestra called the Ratchet Orchestra. You get a lot of crowd noise.
The feeling when you find a record that either you've been looking for a long time or that you didn't know existed, but when you see it, you just know it's the one. It's that thrill of finding that I think keeps people collecting. I'm sap for that stuff. I've always been fascinated by records. I don't know what it is about them. I guess a lot of it is just the circle and the spinning and the mechanical process where the arm, pulls the music out of these grooves. It seems pretty magical to me. When I was working at the Moose Jaw Times-Herald many years ago, my boss, the late Rick Moore, the late and great Rick Moore, had a massive record collection, and I go to his house sometimes, and he had this great stereo system, and he put these records on that just blew me away. The sound was fantastic, the collection was huge. You could pick anything from 1930s blues right on up to disco in the 70s. And that got me thinking that I'd like to get a collection of my own someday.
I had it in the town in the RM, part of the RM office, because it was empty. It used to be a bank, so I went from the old bank in town to the old schoolhouse. I was in there for a long time, 20 years. They wanted to use it for something else. They can get more rent for it now. Out with the old records and in with the new something. My cousin put my predicament on YouTube, I think it was. There's this mad record collector out in Maywan, It's completely insane. My cousin told me about this place. It's reasonable, and I can play the music loud if I want. The Beethoven.
You still have some of those yearnings to do things you did when you were a kid, and for me, I guess collecting is a little bit like being a kid again and having that thrill of finding something in the stacks that's worth bringing home and putting onto my own shelf. I don't just buy anything. You gotta first of all, you have to check the condition. You gotta make sure it's really, really nice condition. You don't want it to be playing with a lot of crackle and pop. Yeah, so sometimes I just like to collect the weird stuff. So you might get this record, which is the Sights and Sounds of the Winter Nationals 1964 Championship Drag Races in Pomona. So you put this on your speakers and you can hear the rumbling of the engine as it goes from speaker to speaker. Right beside that is U.S. Air Force firepower. I got the moon landing here. It's an entire record with just stuff for the moon landing. I have no interest in playing this record, but I'm going to play it anyways. Let's see, that's side one. It's worth about 70 or 75 bucks, so that's partially why I bought it, because I figure at some point I could trade it off for something I actually want. Alright, so we're going to listen to some Guar. Yeah, I can't get into that too much.
I just get pleasure out of buying it if it's interesting. Sometimes it's an interesting cover, sometimes it's cheap, sometimes it's the music, sometimes it's not. It's sort of like stamps, collecting stamps.
This is something you can't find on CD.
This is from 1935.
35?
It can bring back memories, you know, of you lying on the couch with your girlfriend when Elvis comes on singing something, you know. He's playing drums on this side.
Yeah.
When somebody says, you know, Dave, give me a list of your top 10 records you like, I say, I can't do that. It's impossible. Maybe try to pick out the top 500.